Have you ever noticed that the things you do without thinking often make other people look at you strangely? Maybe you replay conversations long after they've ended, not because you're insecure, but because your mind keeps uncovering details everyone else missed. Maybe you disappear for hours just to think, and people assume you're antisocial when you're actually feeling more connected to your own thoughts than to the noise around you. Perhaps you've been told that you think too much, that you're too quiet, too curious, or too difficult to understand. After a while, you begin to wonder if something is wrong with you. Why does your mind refuse to settle for simple answers? Why do ordinary conversations leave you mentally exhausted, while a single meaningful discussion can energize you for days? Why does it seem like everyone else is satisfied with certainty while you're constantly questioning everything? The strange part is that many people who experience this never realize these patterns may not be flaws at all. They may be signs of a mind that processes the world differently, one that values depth over speed and understanding over appearances. If this already feels strangely familiar, take a moment to subscribe, because what comes next may explain things you've been trying to understand about yourself for years. Psychologists have long observed that intelligence is far more complex than getting good grades or solving difficult equations. High IQ isn't simply about knowing more facts. It's about how the brain organizes information, detects patterns, tolerates uncertainty, and connects ideas that seem unrelated. Carl Jung believed that much of human behavior is driven by unconscious patterns that quietly shape our personalities long before we're aware of them. What most people never realize is that highly intelligent individuals often develop unusual habits, not because they want to appear different, but because their minds naturally operate differently. One of the biggest misconceptions is that intelligent people are always confident. In reality, many are surprisingly unsure of themselves. That uncertainty isn't weakness. It's the result of seeing multiple possibilities where others see only one. The more perspectives your mind can imagine, the harder it becomes to believe you've found the perfect answer. Ironically, the people who know the most often feel they know the least. The first unusual habit is an almost obsessive curiosity. Have you ever started researching one simple question only to realize hours have passed because every answer created 3 new questions? Highly intelligent people rarely stop at the surface. Their brains are rewarded by discovering connections hidden beneath obvious explanations. Emotionally, this means they often feel restless. The world never seems fully explained, and every mystery becomes an invitation. While others search for conclusions, they become fascinated by the process of discovery itself. But this is only where the story begins. The second habit is spending far more time alone than most people expect. Solitude is often mistaken for loneliness, yet psychologists distinguish the two. Loneliness is the pain of unwanted isolation. Solitude is the choice to recharge in your own company. High IQ individuals frequently retreat because constant stimulation overwhelms a brain that is already processing countless details. Their time alone isn't an escape from people, it's a return to mental clarity. This is often why some of their most creative ideas appear during quiet walks, late-night reflections, or moments when nobody else is around. Yet something even more surprising happens next. The third habit is questioning social norms without even realizing it. While many people accept traditions simply because they've always existed, highly intelligent minds instinctively ask, why? This doesn't mean they reject rules for the sake of rebellion. It means they struggle to follow beliefs that haven't survived careful examination. Emotionally, this can create a sense of isolation because challenging common assumptions often makes others uncomfortable. But it also becomes the foundation of innovation, creativity, and independent thinking. Progress has almost always begun with someone willing to ask the question everyone else avoided. The fourth habit surprises many people. High IQ individuals often have rich inner conversations. They mentally rehearse situations, debate opposing viewpoints, and analyze their own emotions as if observing themselves from the outside. To others, this may look like overthinking, but psychology suggests it can reflect advanced metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. While this habit sometimes creates anxiety, it also strengthens self-awareness. It allows people to recognize hidden biases, challenge impulsive reactions, and gradually understand themselves with remarkable depth. If you've ever felt this way, let me know in the comments. Your experience may be exactly what someone else reading the comments needs to hear. The fifth habit may be the most misunderstood of all. Highly intelligent people often change their minds more easily than expected. Society praises consistency, but genuine intelligence values truth over ego. When presented with convincing evidence, they're often willing to abandon old beliefs rather than defend them out of pride. Emotionally, this requires humility. It means accepting that your identity isn't tied to always being right. Instead, it's tied to always being willing to learn. That flexibility allows continuous growth, while others remain trapped by opinions they've outgrown but refuse to release. This is where everything begins to change. Once you stop seeing these habits as defects, your relationship with yourself transforms. You no longer apologize for needing quiet. You stop feeling guilty for asking difficult questions. You become less interested in fitting into conversations that lack substance and more interested in building relationships where authenticity matters more than appearances. Self-awareness gradually replaces self-doubt. Confidence no longer comes from having every answer. It comes from trusting your ability to keep learning. Emotional maturity grows because you become comfortable admitting uncertainty instead of pretending to possess certainty. You realize that wisdom isn't the absence of questions. It's the courage to keep asking them. Imagine waking up without constantly wondering whether you're too much or too different. You stop measuring yourself against people whose minds work differently from yours. Decisions become clearer because they're guided by values instead of approval. Relationships become healthier because you seek genuine understanding instead of superficial acceptance. Challenges no longer threaten your identity. They become opportunities to expand it. The habits that once made you feel disconnected begin to feel like quiet strengths. If you're committed to becoming this version of yourself, subscribe and join Psychology Theories, a community of people who are choosing depth over conformity. Perhaps the greatest lesson isn't that people with high IQ develop unusual habits. It's that unusual habits often emerge when a mind refuses to settle for easy answers. Intelligence isn't measured by how quickly you speak, how loudly you argue, or how many facts you memorize. It's reflected in your willingness to stay curious, to remain humble, and to keep growing even when certainty feels more comfortable. The qualities that once made you question yourself may be the very qualities preparing you for a life of deeper understanding. The path can feel lonely at times, but loneliness and uniqueness are not the same thing. One isolates you from others. The other brings you closer to your authentic self. Maybe the habits you've spent years trying to hide were never signs that something was wrong with you. Maybe they were quiet evidence that your mind was searching for truths most people never think to look for. Which part of this felt like something you've been living without having the words for? Share it in the comments below. Someone else may need to hear exactly what you have to say.